Hey there, my friend. So, here's something that I sense is something that needs to be talked about. In our society today, it's not very commonly understood what life coaching is. In fact, that word coach or coaching is kind of weird. It makes most people think of high school, honestly, when they think of it. And so it's really hard to say that's what you do. And so, one time I had somebody message me saying, I feel like I'm drawn to be a coach. I feel like I'm drawn to help people. I feel like I'm drawn to share my wisdom, but I just don't know how, because something about coaching feels like it's charging people to be their friend, which feels really inauthentic and really, not what I'm here for. Not like what friendship is in general. It doesn't seem like being a good steward to humanity. And I would totally agree. Charging someone to be their friend is shitty and not what any of this is about. The whole notion of why the word coach was invented, I think like in the 70s or 80s, it started to really become prominent. The whole notion of why it was invented was because some people had a sense that they have a deeper understanding of an area of life than other people do, and by sharing that area of understanding, sharing that knowledge, other people's lives could benefit. So where there's a benefit to the life, a transaction can happen, and then a career can be formed. So what I see as the biggest problem people make today is if you are a life coach or whatever kind of coach, or if you're working with one or whatever, and somebody asks them what they do, they respond with, I am a life coach. They didn't ask what you call yourself. They asked what you do. See what I mean? So before I get into that, let me explain that everything that happens as an experience between humans is a response to language. Not everything, but most of this, all of marketing is just a response to language. And so if you were just to say, I am a life coach, you can stir up some shit in a lot of people, because they're going to be like, oh, you know more about life than me then. Like, who do you think you are to be like the guru of all of life? And they have every right to say that, because that's what it sounds like. Like, I coach people on life. How did you come to be an expert of life? Then all of a sudden we start to get this place of like, how dare you try to be my guru? Especially Americans. Americans are really self-directed in that way. The Indian culture is a little bit different. They kind of look up to gurus if they're good. But here in America, like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna follow your ass. Like, I'm gonna figure it out on my own, And so if you move from this place of saying, I am a life coach, you immediately trigger people, because the language that you helped them to just come to a realization of, that the realization that your language helped them come to, was that they're not good enough. And that is never what you want to deliver in your marketing. That is never the sensation you want anybody to have when you work with them, or when you talk to them, or when they hear what you do, or anything like that. Like, I'm not here to say I'm better than anybody. I'm just here to say that I've got some targeted knowledge on solving some big-ass problems for a very specific group of people. That is the value of really getting clear on your niche, and really clear on your offering for that specific niche. Because I used to say that before I really knew any of this stuff. I used to say, I apologize for any noise in the background here. I used to say, yeah, I'm a life coach. And people were like, oh, cool, he's a life coach. Nobody really knew what it was I do. And nobody could target that language to the experience that would be created if there was to be a relationship. We're working together. All that is true is experience, boiling all the way down, like esoterically, like all that can be true is an experience, a feeling of elation, of love, of anger, of sadness, any of that stuff. The only truth is what happens in your body. Language is just a tool of helping us get there. And marketing is only language, helping other people get to an experience in their body of understanding, like, oh my God, yeah, it's valuable for me to work with you, because then I think, I trust that I'll have another experience from working with you. And so I see this is something that is a big problem that people have when they're like, I'm just super passionate about this topic. I'm super passionate about helping these kind of people. I'm super passionate about sharing my wisdom. I want to be a speaker or an author or, whatever. And then they get stuck on the word coach, because it sounds like you're just being a know-it-all. And you are, if you don't target who you help exactly. And if you don't commit to answering that question, what do you do, in terms of, I help blank to blank so they can blank. Because ultimately, like, you're in business to solve problems. You're not a coach, you're not a speaker, you're not a teacher, you're not a guru, you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, you're not an engineer, you're not any of those things. Every profession in the world is a problem solver. Every profession that gets paid, at least, is a problem solver. If you work at the post office, you're solving the problem of stamps needing to go on envelopes and go into the mailbox and be delivered places. You're a problem solver. Every one of us is a problem solver if we're in business. Every entrepreneur is a problem solver. So focus always, always, always on what is the problem that you're here to solve. Who's the person that you are uniquely suited to help? And focus always on your language being targeted towards what is the experience that I can deliver to that person, which is ideally a more favorable experience for them than the current experience they're having. And even more ideally, a favorable experience that they also want, because you can't help somebody get to somewhere if they don't want to get to it. So keep that in mind, my friend. Hopefully that's helpful. If this is valuable to you, go ahead and share this video, please, because there's got to be people out there that don't know this. I know for a fact that I was grounding and pounding and banging on all cylinders trying to figure all this nonsense out, and then doing it wrong for a while. Truly, doing it wrong for a while, and I insulted some people. And when you're meeting somebody in person and there's a raw human connection there, and then they ask you what you do, like, that's a golden opportunity to say very clearly, like, not, hey, look at me, I'm the world's best doctor, like, no, I'm just really, really good at helping people with cerebral palsy to get back on their feet and walk again. Like, if that's the problem you solve, cool, I understand that. I can internalize that and like rationalize what that is. And in fact, hey, come to think of it, my sister-in-law has cerebral palsy. Cool, why don't you help them? I don't actually have a sister-in-law, it's an example. But that's why it's so important to answer that question in terms of who you help, how you help them. Right? Like, what is the value that you offer that person? What is the experience that you trigger in the human experience that is a more favorable experience than it's currently having? Focus always on that. Don't focus on saying, I am this, I am that. Because truth is, here's the hard truth, nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody gives a shit about you. They like to think they do, and they try to, but ultimately everybody first primarily is in this human experience to put their oxygen mask on them first. They want to take care of themselves. They want to be having the beautiful life that they envision for themselves, which is okay. It's just how we're kind of wired, The second priority can be really close to or on par with the first one, which is like being really good to other people and loving other people and stuff. But first and foremost, we want our problem solved. So remember that when you talk to people, they don't want to bow down to you because you're a coach or something. They want to understand how you can solve their freaking problems. And the sooner you get to understand that, the sooner that you'll start getting paid what you're worth. And the sooner that you'll stop looking at marketing as a big scary thing and just an opportunity to help people. It's just the orchestration of language towards a furtherment of the human race, really. It's one way you can look at it. So I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs who have a spiritual understanding of how all this shit really works instead of what it just looks like. Because then when you solve problems, you're not just putting a Band-Aid on them and making them go away. You're not just like selling them pills, which does technically solve a problem of my stomach hurts. It's like you can actually transform someone's life through the problem that is sticking up. You solve that problem and then they have a new understanding. Solve that problem through like paradigm shifts and mindset shifts, then you really have transformed their whole life and created the conditions necessary for that problem never to come back again. So that's who I'm passionate about helping, because that's what I am. When I help people solve business problems, I'm changing their whole life because of the paradigm shifts required. So it's really it's really powerful when you can narrow that down and get really clear. So apply that to your life, my friend. Let me know if that's valuable to you. Let me know if you have any questions. Message me if you have questions, or leave a comment down below. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Don't ever forget that you are valuable and needed in this human experience, because what you know is so, so important and can transform people's life. And as long as you can help people, you can build an amazing business around it. Have a great day.